Day 355. Micah 4-5. In the last days the mountain of the house of the Lord will be established as the chief of the mountains, it will be raised above the hills, and the peoples will stream to it. And many nations will come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, so that we may walk in his paths. For the law will go forth from Zion and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Then he will judge between many peoples and arbitrate for strong nations far and wide. Then they will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will no longer take up the sword against nation, nor will they train any more for war. And each man will sit under his own vine and under his own fig tree, with no one to frighten him. For the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken. Though each of the peoples may walk in the name of his God, yet we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever. On that day, declares the Lord, I will gather the lame, I will assemble the outcast, even those whom I have afflicted. And I will make the lame into a remnant, and the outcast into a strong nation. Then the Lord will rule over them in Mount Zion from that day and forever. And you, O watchtower of the flock, O stronghold of the daughter of Zion, the former dominion will be restored to you, sovereignty will come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Why do you now cry aloud? Is there no king among you? Has your counselor perished so that anguish grips you like a woman in labor? Writhe in agony, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in labor. For now you will leave the city and camp in the open fields. You will go to Babylon, there you will be rescued, there the Lord will redeem you from the hand of your enemies. But now many nations have assembled against you, saying, Let her be defiled, and let us feast our eyes on Zion. But they do not know the thoughts of the Lord or understand his plan, for he has gathered them like sheaves to the threshing floor. Rise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will give you horns of iron and hooves of bronze to break to pieces many peoples. Then you will devote their gain to the Lord, their wealth to the Lord of all the earth. Now, O daughter of troops, mobilize your troops, for a siege is laid against us. With a rod they will strike the cheek of the judge of Israel. But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, who are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come forth for me one to be ruler over Israel, one whose origins are of old, from the days of eternity. Therefore Israel will be abandoned until she who is in labor has given birth, then the rest of his brothers will return to the children of Israel. He will stand and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majestic name of the Lord his God. And they will dwell securely, for then his greatness will extend to the ends of the earth. And he will be our peace when Assyria invades our land and tramples our citadels. We will raise against it 7 shepherds, even 8 leaders of men. And they will rule the land of Assyria with the sword, and the land of Nimrod with the blade drawn. So he will deliver us when Assyria invades our land and marches into our borders. Then the remnant of Jacob will be in the midst of many peoples like dew from the Lord, like showers on the grass, which do not wait for man or linger for mankind. Then the remnant of Jacob will be among the nations, in the midst of many peoples, like a lion among the beasts of the forest, like a young lion among flocks of sheep, which tramples and tears as it passes through, with no one to rescue them. Your hand will be lifted over your foes, and all your enemies will be cut off. In that day, declares the Lord, I will remove your horses from among you and wreck your chariots. I will remove the cities of your land and tear down all your strongholds. I will cut the sorceries from your hand, and you will have no fortune tellers. I will also cut off the carved images and sacred pillars from among you, so that you will no longer bow down to the work of your own hands. I will root out the Asherah poles from your midst and demolish your cities. I will take vengeance in anger and wrath upon the nations that have not obeyed me. Revelation 12. And a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed in the sun, with the moon under her feet and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and crying out in the pain and agony of giving birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, a huge red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 royal crowns on his heads. His tail swept a third of the stars from the sky, tossing them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, ready to devour her child as soon as she gave birth. And she gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was caught up to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where God had prepared a place for her to be nourished for 1260 days. Then a war broke out in heaven, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But the dragon was not strong enough, and no longer was any place found in heaven for him and his angels. And the great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God, and the authority of his Christ. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, he who accuses them day and night before our God. They have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they did not love their lives so as to shy away from death. Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, with great fury the devil has come down to you, knowing he has only a short time. And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle to fly from the presence of the serpent to her place in the wilderness, where she was nourished for a time, and times, and half a time. Then from the mouth of the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away in the torrent. But the earth helped the woman and opened its mouth to swallow up the river that had poured from the dragon's mouth. And the dragon was enraged at the woman, and went to make war with the rest of her children, who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. And the dragon stood on the shore of the sea.